So bottom line, rewarded channels manage your churn. Okay. If the UA manager knows exactly how the churn of the game looks like when speaking about non-incent traffic, it put later on the churn rate of the incentivized traffic and it must be seen more flat. Otherwise, it didn't do a good job.
Can rewarded channels keep exploding, and where should they fit for most UA pros? Hello, welcome to Growth Masterminds, the podcast for growth marketers. My name is John Koetsier. I just finished Singular's newest quarterly trends report. Guess what? Rewarded channels are continuing to grow. Why? And how long can this continue? What does it mean for user acquisition? Today, we're chatting with Roee Raz. He's a former CEO of CashCow. He's now running Payback, a new agency. He's a serial entrepreneur, especially in the gaming space and ad tech space. He's got 2 successful runs in mobile gaming, most recently with Ovivo Games, where he was the founder, was the CEO, is still on the board right now. Welcome, Roee.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Hey, super pumped to have you. Looking forward to this conversation. Going to dig into all this stuff, rewarded ad networks, evolution of rewarded advertising, what's driving growth, changes that are happening right now, why you started what you did and why you're doing what you're doing right now, all that stuff. Maybe let's start here. Why did you start a rewarded ad network?
So at Ovivo, you mentioned my experience at Ovivo. So at Ovivo, we built a deep expertise in rewarded user acquisition way before it was mainstream. So we were early, we built the tech and we learned how to do it right. Then at CashCow, I saw the other side. I work with gaming studios that most of them are or avoid rewarded channels entirely or run them. That's a majority. Basically, they run them, but without the expertise to unlock their full potential. So in CashCow, I was trying to educate them and teach them. And we built Payback to solve that. So we bring the strategy, operations, know-how, tech stack, and actually and turn rewarded the intent into long-term value. And I think there is a lot of value that we can bring here and a lot of aspects.
That is super interesting. It's actually a great segue into what I wanted to talk about right next, because you're building an agency to help people understand how to use rewarded ad networks, where to leverage them, what to do, and all that stuff. That's an evolution in the evolution of rewarded ad networks, where there's almost an ecosystem being built around these and tools and people who can help. Okay, let's take a step back and let's talk about rewarded advertising, its evolution, where it came from, where it's going. How do you see that?
Well, let's talk about how it started. It started way back where rewarded used to be seen as low quality traffic that is coming from offer walls, mainly based on single rewards. Like you run a CPA campaign, cost per action. There was one single action where you could set. By the way, iOS banned it totally. It was around 2018, if I recall. That was the type of rewards managed mainly by Tapjoy, or the main channels were Tapjoy, Fiber, Iron Source, and by the way, tons of fraud. It was channels with tons of fraud. Fraud still exists, but the evolution is dramatic. There are many more market loyalty channels where the campaigns are much more sophisticated with multi-rewards, sometimes more than 20 different rewards. It's all about managing many conversions, deep dive into data analysis, optimization, ongoing optimization, what events to set, where. A lot of risk taking, by the way, that can be costly. If you set the wrong bid for a specific event that many users can reach to, it can make a disaster campaign.
Wow.
Yeah. Just imagine if you set, I don't know, $10 bid for an event that 50% of your users are arriving, or even more dramatic, $50 reward for it. So you can lose a lot. And it's very hard to fix that.
That speaks to, you need to test some of these things at very small scale to know what's going to happen. I guess that's the thing, right? Small enough scale that you're not wasting too much money if you go wrong, but big enough scale to know that, hey, it's repeatable, it's accurate.
Right. Exactly. By the way, that's the reason why a lot of marketeers are not comfortable with rewarded traffic, because it's risky and it's not part of that. Just imagine that typical user acquisition skill set, like the UA manager skill set, it used to be focused on creative and data analysis. And now it's like much more strategical risk taking. There is no creative, by the way. There is no creative here. And a lot of negotiation with the other person on the loyalty app side, where he needed to negotiate for the position and manage it based on Slack channels. So there is no self-served, 99% of the cases, there is no self-serve platform where the UA manager can just simply upload a campaign like he used to do in Uploving, Facebook, Google, etc. It's a very different skill set.
That's interesting, actually, because of course, in the mainstream market, the machines are taking over, right? It's all about mechanics. It's all about light speed. It's all about everything's happening and you're just watching it, optimizing it, adjusting here and there, pulling some levers, adjusting some dials. Here you're talking about really old school, almost going back to, I don't know, 3 martini days or something like that. Wow. What's driving the growth of Rewarded?
I think in every UA channel, the top driver is performance. Just perform. That's the biggest reason. When offers are structured properly, ordered channels consistently deliver stronger ROAS than traditional ones. Simple as that. That's the main reason. The second one, as I see it, is innovation. Just imagine, or do you know, like when running campaigns on Google, you run it like the way to do it is running user UAC, right? Like Universal App Campaign, where the only thing you can control is basically the creative. That's it.
Yes.
And then you let Google algorithm to work for you.
Yeah.
In this case, as mentioned before, there is no creative. There is a lot of efforts that should be focused on designing the reward structure. Also on the loyalty app side, like the UA channels themselves, many options for gamifications, there's segmentation that will drive better results. Innovation is one of the keys here, I think. And you can check many different platforms and you can see how they differ between each other. If you look at Misplay, they're time-based. If you look at Free Cash, they're event-based. By the way, there are some mix between time-based and event-based. There are some that are more focused on converting web traffic, like mobile web, into mobile apps. There are some that are focused on emerging markets. So there is a lot of opportunities there, and the innovation is one of the driver. And the third one, as I say, and it's connected to innovation, there is a lot of room for improvement. So that's another driver.
I love it. Love it. You talked a bit about rewards and how they've evolved. What are some of the key changes you're seeing right now, and how do you think that's going to be structured into the future? It's interesting, right? I'll give a bit of a preamble here. It's kind of like the revenge of the humans, right? Because you talked a lot about the machines covering all the real-time bidding, programmatic stuff. The machine is taking over UAC. Meta has its own version. Everything, Ad Network has their own version. Here, it's very human focused. It's really interesting to me because it strikes me, maybe I'm wrong, you tell me, it strikes me that to be good at user acquisition via Rewarded, you need to know your product so well. You need to know your game so well. You have to be deep into that, understand what is easy, what is hard, what is common, what is uncommon, what is indicative of value, what is indicative of somebody just running through and churning. You need to have deep knowledge there. Correct?
100% correct. But I still remain with what you said before, like the revenge of the humans over machines. I love it. It's great. I think you 100% correct here. Think that user acquisition manager must be expert in the product and also convince, and that's another skill, important skill, convince the product team to add live ops and add some features that speaks in the language that the user is expecting to have when the user coming from incentivized channel. So one of the biggest riddle I think that a product person is trying to solve about his users is what is their intent, right? When the user from Facebook is installing the game, what is exactly his intent? Is it, of course, it's entertainment in a way, but what kind of entertainment? And when the user is coming from incentivized channel, it's crystal clear that the intent is to make money. And that's what it came. That's the main reason he decided to install the game, and it's relevant for the first minutes and even first hours. Now, ask yourself how many gaming studios deliver incentivized or fix incentivized traffic values inside their product when the user is coming from incentivized channel. Most of them fixed with the users in the language of non-incent. Hey, you came for entertainment, and that's wrong. And it's not, I wouldn't say wrong, but it's not optimized. Okay.
Interesting. Interesting. So you're almost saying like there's a certain type of game or perhaps a certain type of gameplay within a game, because you can have different aspects of the same game that needs to be tailored towards incentivized.
A user came from incentivized channel showing a pop-up telling him this in a purchase help you get faster your reward. Okay. Or we know that we are here to help you get your reward. We know what you're here. We are here to help you make it in the most effective way, efficient way, and to help you. Just imagine yourself as a user. How would you respond to a game that speaks in your language, in the language that tells you, I know what you're doing here. I know what is your motivation, and how that is the experience when you try to play a game coming from a rewarded channel, but it speaks with you like, all right, play, enjoy, have fun. No, I want to make money. That's why.
Wow, this is rocking my world a little bit here, because for me, when I play games, it's for 5 minutes of brain dump, just clear the mind. I've just been working for an hour straight, hardcore, deep in the zone. Okay, now I need to shift focus, 5 minutes, chill, relax, and then I can reattack my tasks. So I'm not looking to make money in a game or make something in a game. But talk about, that was the first part of the question before I went on that big, long diversion. Talk about the evolution of rewards. What have you seen there? It wasn't always cash, right? And it isn't always cash today, correct?
First, there are different rewards. Some of them cash, some of them are gift cards, some of them reward within a game. So it's different between the channels. But the evolution or the projection that I see is their segmentation. So it's kind of, it will be at the end, it will be 100% tech and 100% machine based on machines, right? At least the segmentation and other live ops features that you will see more and more within loyalty apps. So the loyalty apps will make the experience much more gamified with better gamification to provide the user the best experience that he can, that they can deliver. And as for segmentation that I mentioned before, it seems like most of the channels now are heavily focused on IAP type of games, like in a purchase driven type of games, and fully ignored from or not fully, but pretty much ignored the IAA type of games. I think that with better segmentation, they will be able to deliver great value also for IAA type of games. We're sending them the right users and also perform much better with IAP by not sending them users that are not interested in making purchases, right? And will drive better performance. So that's another reason I think segmentation will open new opportunities, and that's going to be very interesting. Maybe, by the way, rewarded platforms will also be an attractive platform, not for non-gaming app. It's also something I believe going.
I was going to ask that way late in our conversation, but I'm going to bring it up right now because it seems so obvious, right? There's a whole loyalty category that's been going on for decades.
Right.
Free tech, right? And we heard of coupons, right? Your loyalty or
Exactly.
a store card or something like that, 2% off if you use your store card for this or something like that. So loyalty is a big category, and games are the latest entrance into it, right? So I think there's a lot of opportunity there.
Agree. I very much agree. I think it's a solution that started with it's a new adaptation of play to earn. Remember the NFT days?
Yes.
I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago, right? Where everybody were talking about play to earn based on NFT. Just the friction was so high, but the users were educated to play to earn, or at least these buzzwords was very, everyone knows what play to earn is, but I think not many really play to earn using NFT. And with the technology that gives access to coupons and the real money, that you can earn directly to your Visa is
I worry about promises in those areas because, of course, I see those ads too, right? Like there's this person in a cafe, the bill comes, shoot, I have no money. Somebody pops by and says, I can help you with that. Just download this app. Boom, there's $200. Now you can pay for your meal. Come on. If it was that easy, everybody would be paying,
I
right? So
agree.
there's a level of expectation that I worry that rewarded or incentivized apps, games offer that it will kill them if people join and they're not getting anything or they get
That's
20
right.
cents.
That's right. It's about building a brand. So if you build a brand on the loyalty app, you don't want your users to be happy. So you want to think twice about what you promise, starting from the ad through the all the messages that you deliver on your app. But I think that when user enter to the platform and he can review in full transparency what actions will lead to what reward, less misleading as possible. So it will end up with better quality and with higher satisfaction on the user side. But it's a good point. It's a good point because the ads that are booming are these type of ads like in UGC where user generated content where
Or
you
fake
see exactly what
UGC,
to do.
like it's not
Yeah,
exactly
99% are fake UGC. All right, let's put it on.
exactly. Okay, cool. Let's talk about user quality, engagement, retention, that whole thing. Because of course you mentioned, hey, it's got to deliver, it's got to work. It strikes me that it's interesting, right? You've got to have quality throughout the experience. So there's the rewarded component, but there's the game component. There's got to be good enough there to keep going. You also have to choose your rewards wisely. And you mentioned that right off the top. If you choose like something that 50% of people can get very easily, your cost of customer acquisition is going to be off the charts and you'll totally get ruined. In general, what are you seeing in terms of user quality, engagement, retention from rewarded channels? And how can you boost that as an app publisher, game publisher?
So bottom line, rewarded channels manage your churn. Okay, if the UA manager knows exactly how the churn of the game looks like when speaking about non-incent traffic. It put later on the churn rate of the incentivized traffic, and it must be seen more flat. Otherwise, it didn't do a good job. So the way to do it is to analyze the non-incent traffic, realize where are the most difficult parts in the game, like where the highest churn rate is, and set a higher reward for this event. By that, you want to fix this and make it more flat and end up with better churn rate, better retention, and better ROAS. So that's like in a nutshell, that the idea, okay, loyalty channel manage your churn if done right. The thing is that, as mentioned earlier, different nuance of each network. Because if it's event-based, and most of them are event-based, that's easy. But if it's playtime-based, then you need to put another layer of analysis that combine churn between levels into playtime. And you want to get a decision based on that. And there are more than 30 different loyalty apps out there, many different nuances. And another nuance is, for example, the user is the source. When the user was acquired in the loyalty app, but in the web version, you will probably gonna behave very different than a user that came from acquired in the app version. Also, a lot of like there is differences between iOS and Android, obviously, but also there is difference between the iOS on the web and iOS on iOS and app is tricky because misplay here in the market for years. But did you know that only 2 months ago they launched their iOS app? It's crazy. The reason, by the way, do you have a guess what the reason is? Like why?
I'm assuming it's Apple policies and making it very difficult to understand data from app to app.
So it's like that Apple sees it as an app store inside an app store and they don't like it.
Which is the original reason App Gratis was banned from the App Store way back when, 2018, as you're talking about. Yes.
Exactly, exactly. So Misplay find a way to make a bypass here, and they basically created an app that is a rewarded app for surveys. Now, if you want to play games, then you navigate to the web. Now, imagine how it affects the user at the end, because the user is like, whoa, what a journey the user needs to go through in order to play the iOS app. So it's a
Wow.
challenge that's very interesting to solve. And I think that all the loyalty apps are trying to solve that. They are doing it very well. But to answer your question, there are a lot of nuances between the different channels, which make it so difficult to manage the manual management. There is no
Mhm.
self-managed. And plus the legal side of it, just imagine how difficult is it to sign 30 different IOs. But just imagine the overload on the legal side. So that's interesting. That's a challenge that.
And you better not go 0 to 30 when you haven't figured it out yet. You better
But
start with a few.
but when you figure out, when you have positive signals, then what you want to do is to duplicate this success in the other channels. So at this point, yeah, of course, you want to jump from from one to, let's say, five, and then from five to 20.
Nice. Nice. Do you see different markets or geos where rewarded channels work better, or is it more about segmentation within those geos?
So it's more about segmentation. Obviously, the US market is where everybody are looking at, and the highest value is there. But we see also great value in Germany, UK. And again, it depends on them on the channel. Some of them are good also in France, Australia, of course, Canada. But the main market is the US. It's all about segmentation. And basically, bottom line, where the loyalty apps acquiring their users. In order for having, like, the loyalty apps need to have users in order to sell them to gaming studios, right?
Yes.
So it's all comes
Yes.
up to where they are
Yeah.
acquiring
Yeah.
their users.
Yeah. And that's interesting as well, right? Because they found their users. Now they're selling them to you as a game publisher. Who are they selling to next? And is your game good enough to retain them as they get offered new offers in new games? I don't know about you, but I play maybe 2, 3 games at a time. I don't play 10 or 15.
Right. Right. Agree. It's a very good question, because what happened when a user install, let's just give an example from Freakish. Okay. User install an app from a game from Freakish. Now he decide to come back to Freakish. Now Freakish can, or starting him again, the game you already installed, because they want to drive better quality for the specific gaming studios, or they can think about their own earnings and push a different game for this user to install.
Yeah.
So what they will do, it's a question, and it's about balancing it in a way that will deliver both profits for Freakish and also great value and better ROAS for the advertisers. So, and it's end up with segmentation. You want to in my vision, fast forward the same way that you and I have a different YouTube and have a different
Yes.
Spotify, right? And different feed on Instagram. The loyalty app should also be that specific and that segmented in a way that I will have one experience, you will have a very different one. And that's like my long vision about it.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. Absolutely. And the question is always how much is governed by the user's preferences, what they want, what they do, and how much is governed by the platform saying, okay, now we need to monetize. So we're slipping this in, slipping that in, and how much, what's the balance there? And if you can balance it
Mhm.
well, then you provide a good experience and you make money. If you overload on one side or the other, you don't make money, or you lose your users. So it's a challenging balancing act there. That feeds into kind of my last question here, which is, can rewarded keep growing? We've seen this massive growth, right? I've seen it in the singular ROI index. I've seen it in the quarterly trends reports that we've been doing. We've just been seeing this ongoing growth here. It's a super interesting space. It strikes me as like the way ad tech in general was almost a decade ago or more, right? People figuring it out, different platforms. And it seems like that world, that traditional world, which is still alive and growing, is the most of everything right now, has homogenized, has become the same sort of thing, right? You insert money here, the machine works, you get something out at the end. And those platforms have all kind of standardized, right? Some are always better than others. There's always some innovation here and some innovation there. You've got an app oven doing what an app oven does, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, they're all fairly similar. Whereas the rewarded ecosystem, you talked about kind of incredible diversity in terms of how they operate, how they work, making sure that you've got the right offer for this one or the right offer for that, the right setup for that one, and all this human work, the revenge of the human stuff. Can this keep going? And where do you see it growing towards?
So absolutely, I see it growing for the reasons that I already shared with you before: the innovation, the performance, the room for improvement, as I see it, because it's still like the technology
It'll
level,
improve
or
so much they won't need humans anymore.
maybe, probably, or at
Yeah.
least for the segmentation part or the predictability V part of how loyalty app will predict the potential of the user from the very first moment and then like segment it accordingly. So there is a lot of room to grow. There is a lot of there is a great need from the user acquisition side for this to grow, and marketers and UA managers are still looking for this, or like not still, but looking at this as a very interesting platform and channel. They learn a lot how to do it right. There's still a lot to learn, but they learn how to do it right. They gain better know-how, and then I think it's going to scale and keep going. Sure.
That brings up an important question that I forgot to ask you, but it works right here anyways. And the question is, where should rewarded incentivized fit in the average UA professionals mix, right? They're probably going to have Google. They're probably going to have Meta. They're probably going to have some Apple ads. They're probably going to have a variety of others. At scale, at least they'll have a variety of others, maybe 10. We've seen ones with 30 or 40, right? If you're sophisticated, you're spending a lot in your high volume. Where does rewarded fit? Should it be a little? Should it be a lot? Should it be 15%, 5%, 25%? Does it differ?
I think there is not one solution that fits all here. Depends. I think that as long as you see ROAS positive on your budget and on your spending, there is no reason to not scale. And there's like any other marketing channel, if you see good performance,
Yep.
scale in this channel and measure and learn how to improve this performance. Unlike mainstream channels or non-incent channels, I would not be that worried about high CPIs, because high CPIs translated into higher rewards. Higher rewards translate into better intent for the user to get this reward. And this intent should be translated into better performance in the game. So it's all about designing and structuring the event in a way that will bring that value to the users.
And that turns us back full circle to ensuring that you've picked the right events, the right time, the right rewards in the right way so that you actually can deliver on your target goals, your revenue goals, essentially, that pay for the advertising in the first place.
Right. And we didn't talk almost about fraud, which also like a big factor here, because it
Yes.
might confuse the UA manager, totally confuse the UA manager if the UA don't know how to figure out how to clean the data. Okay. It's very important. How to clean the data, how to ignore these frauds, how to negotiate afterwards with the loyalty apps on deductions. It's a huge on the UA side. So, and there is fraud here because obviously users are motivated to complete events faster. And I've seen everything. You can't believe how many different type of frauds I've seen in my life. So it's great.
Well, I was gonna come to, starting to come to a close here, but we're gonna have to unpack this one. We can't just walk away from that grenade on the ground, right?
Sorry for that.
So good. No, it's great. You mentioned off the top, and I think it is important to hit here. There's a lot of places where people don't worry about fraud that much, right? The Metas, the Googles, the Apples. There's other places where you worry about it more. SDK networks, maybe to a degree, those sorts of things. But you're saying rewarded. The fraud is a lot. You said earlier that fraud is much better than it was, but obviously not perfect from what you're bringing up right now.
Far from being perfect. It's far from being perfect. And it's mainly user fraud behavior, like bots that simulate real users.
Yes.
It's something that for the NLPs is really hard to. NLPs were designed for a different type of fraud that you described perfectly. This and the type of fraud that we experience in the incentivized traffic and the rewarded platforms is very different. It means that you must have a robust technology, and here's the technology that comes in: a robust technology to deal with it and to help you manage it. Because again, if you fail here, it can be a huge fail.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's a big important point actually, because originally MVPs, is it a real person? Is it a real install? Okay, good, done, right? That's that, but that's years in the past now, right? There's so much technology that we've built recently. Like, what is this realistic behavior? Is this from an area that we like, that we wanted to, that we're okay with? Is this interaction seem human? And looking at that over time, right? That's all really critical information. Because like bot farms, I mean, they're very sophisticated, somewhere in the cloud, somewhere in some server setup. I mean, there's a lot of money to be made there.
And back to the point you mentioned before, UA manager must be expert in the product as well. So if the UA sees that the user behave like complete level 10 in 5 minutes, and he knows it's not possible to make it 5 minutes, it should take 10 minutes, or sorry, let's say 30 minutes minimum,
Yes.
then obviously it's not a genuine user, genuine conversion. So if the UA don't know the product well enough, it's a problem.
Agree. Roy, I think we could keep going for a while, but I do think we need to bring it to a close as well. I really appreciate this time. Super interesting space, super quickly evolving, and obviously great rewards and some challenges.
Thank you, John. It was a pleasure speaking with you.